Good morning, everybody. My name is Brother Jonas, and this morning we're going to break down some words. And the word this morning is consciousness. And we hear a lot of people talking about the third eye and all that kind of stuff, and then they say that consciousness. And today we're going to talk about what consciousness is. Consciousness is the awareness of environment and cognitive events such as the sights and sounds of the world, as well as one's memories, thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. Okay, so the word conscience, okay, it does mean to be aware or to know. Okay, and the word mean, when we look at that, when they say conscious, you ever heard that a person was playing a sports and they were knocked unconscious? Okay, that means when you're knocked unconscious, that means they are no longer alert. They're no longer awakened. You know what I mean? It's just like they say, conscious also means woke. So woke means awaking, or what that means, like, you know how you're asleep. When you're asleep, your five bodily senses are not are being alert. And what consciousness is just mean is just a simple term. It's just your five senses are being alert. That means you are conscious of what you see. You're conscious of what you hear. You're conscious of what you're tasting. You're conscious of what you're touching. You're conscious of what you're smelling. Like, for example, when they say awareness, okay, consciousness is awareness. Okay, if somebody was playing like a Michael Jackson song, right? And like Billie Jeans, and you heard about Billie Jeans before, you know what I mean? You're aware of that song, so you're conscious of hearing, you know what I mean? You hear Billie Jean and you stop moving and all that kind of stuff. That's because you're conscious, you're aware of that song. You even start singing. You say, Billie Jean is not mine. You know what I'm saying? And when you start singing it, is because you're aware. That means you're aware of that song because you know that song. You see what I'm saying? So you're aware of that. And you automatically say, man, I heard that song before. You see what I'm saying? That's because you heard that song before. You see what I'm saying? Like, for example, Apple. When a child, I'll give you an example. When a kid, like 2 years old, and they never 1 years old, never knew Apple, those kids are not conscious. They are not aware of those things yet. So they have to be taught. That's why when we talk about a level of consciousness is that there was a point where we had lack knowledge. Okay, we had lack of knowledge. And there's a point where we start to grow into that knowledge. For example, you start from daycare, you go to elementary, you go to pre-K, then you go to kindergarten, then you go to elementary school, then after that you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, whatever. It's an adapt. You keep on learning. You know what I mean? So you're learning, so you're increasing the level of your knowledge. Okay, when they say the consciousness, okay, consciousness just knowledge, awareness, knowledge. You see what I'm saying? It is nothing big. It's all about utilizing our human five senses, which is our sight, our taste, our sound, our smell, and in our mind, in our touch. The five senses: touch, taste, smell, sound, and sight. And because not everybody is have that consciousness that we have. A person who can see and a person who can blind don't have that same consciousness. A person that can see and another person that can see can relate more to what they see. A person who is colorblind, okay, cannot identify certain colors like a person who can see different colors. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about level of consciousness, all we talking about our five senses. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that we hear a lot of time in our community is that we hear our people talk about, man, we got to get the third eye. You got to get the third eye. You got to get the third eye. Well, first of all, when you ask them, Have any of our people ever seen the third eye? You know what I'm saying? Because in this new age thing, people say things. We say a lot of things without utilizing our own mind, our own consciousness to understand. You know, when we say, well, okay, for example, they will say, well, I don't believe in God because there is no God. If I can't see it and I can't touch it, then therefore it doesn't exist. Then you ask them a simple question. When is the last time you seen your third eye? Have anybody seen a third eye? Or were we taught of the third eye? You know what I'm saying? You know? So were we taught the third eye or we seen the third eye? So if you never seen the third eye, and then they say that, well, the third eye is the pineal gland. Wait a second. The pineal gland is connected to your brain, and your brain is to make you utilize those five senses, your human senses. So have I never seen my third eye? I seen my pineal gland, but that doesn't mean that's my third eye. You see what I'm saying? And the one reason people utilize that, again, is because they're talking about it's the eye of Horus. Wait a second. If you're talking about the eye of Horus, now you automatically go into religion. Okay, that's not spirituality. Okay, you go into religion. Okay, and you know, there's a lot of things that people talk about consciousness, but when you start hearing more about what they say, it makes no sense of what they're saying. You know, they talk about common sense. The common they talking about, common just means regular. You know what I mean? When like say you're talking to somebody, you say, well, what do you have in common with that person? You see what I'm saying? What do you have in common? You know what I mean? Common is a regular thing that we see every day. We see trees, we see sky, we see houses, we see birds. It's just something common. Okay. And when we talking about sense, we talking about our five senses. So what is the common sense? The common sense is things that we are aware of on our daily basis. Okay. Okay. Other than that, have we seen our sense? No, we have not seen our senses. We have not seen our common. But we utilize the word common sense of things that we are aware of on a daily basis. Okay. You know, and another thing that I hear people say all the time, you know, things are written by men. I mean, the Bible is written by men. The Quran is written by men. Well, the hieroglyphics in Egypt is written by men too. Okay. Or all of those walls, who wrote them? You believe that Amun-Ra wrote them? Osiris wrote them? You believe Isis or Horus wrote them? You believe Set wrote them? Or do you believe humans wrote them? The pyramids, humans build them. Those statues in Egypt, human build them. Okay? Just like the monuments that we have in Washington, D.C., just like you have those statues of Rocky Balboa in Philadelphia and stuff like that, human build those statues. Okay? Come on, people. We got to be awakened, man. We got to be awakened from our deep sleep. My name is Brother Jonas. Hey, you guys have a blessed day. Shalom Aleichem.